certainly is disturbing to think an enchantment can warp.
Any sign of our scry reacting, like the Hearthsider ones?
None, but it might be a matter of time. Who knows what a year or a decade might bring? We'll have to watch closely. Oh, that's rather exciting now I think of it.
Ooh, you were really moving out there.
I was told time was of the essence.
Yeah, but you made it look easy. Maybe someday you could, give classes to the novice scouts.
I'd be delighted. But I need permission to be a total hard-ass. That work?
Wins, yes. Ooh, we'll introduce you as Coach Brynn and you can wear, like, really tight pants.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
No, I swear.
It's okay, Eric. I'm just teasing. But if you're gonna float opportunities to make you blush, I have to go for it. And more to the point, I'm game. We'll tackle it when the dust is all settled.
Dom and I have been running down the mystery of our alchemically odd plants and degraded scries. We've got a working hypothesis, but we're going to need to lean on you again to prove it.
You're right on top of this.
I have been taking notes from my favorite point. She has this habit where she just drags things forward by force of will.
I do, don't I? There's just so much to do. Why ask permission when the next step is right there? What's led you to the hypothesis?
Dom's been digging into the scry and noticed some tiny changes in yours that he's not seen before. Lane used a few leftover petals from the Mirian's bloom to run more tests. You really have an incredibly talented team here.
As long as I don't have to do any more cross-swamp runs, count me in.
Worse, I'm afraid. We think the source of the problem might be the miasma. Dom's theory is that it's slowly affecting the patterns inside the Enclave.
Our enchantments?
Everything. We've never been able to perceive or harvest them, but there's a school of thought that everything alive has a pattern in it. And if that pattern allows us to interact with and control magic, the theory goes that magic might be able to affect us in turn.
You think we're in danger?
Obviously, tangles are inherently dangerous, but that's the question we want to answer. Could they affect the creatures here in more subtle ways? Could too much magic explain the Spitfire's behavior? If so, we have to worry there might be long-term effects on all of us.
Spirits. How do we prove it?
You've been collecting resonance for all your time in here, as have our enchanters. That data gives us a baseline. What he needs, then, is a comparison resonance harvested during a miasma from any of the natural beasts. Arcs won't help, alas. Sev's new toy should come in handy.
Right. I'll tackle it as soon as I can.
Hey, mind if we talk somewhere private?
Lead the way.
I won't be returning to expeditions. I've known for a while now, but I couldn't bring myself to admit it. My days as Point are over.
I thought you were recovering from your injury.
Not as well as I should be. That I got injured at all was a sign that I'm not as fast as I used to be. I should count myself lucky. Not many Points get a career this long, but I'm not ready for this to end. Especially here, of all places. What kind of legacy is it to reach the Enclave only to sit by the fire?
But you've had an incredible career. And it isn't ending just because you can't go on expeditions.
I know, but it's not the same. And some part of me was hoping to end on a big score. I thought if I found out who my father was, if he turned out to be some great weaver like my mother, it's silly.
Tell me.
I thought I could solidify my legacy in history. Make sense of what my own contributions have been, if anything at all.
You're an incredible weaver in your own right. You don't need impressive parents to prove that. And if you had to pick your last act as point, isn't finding your way into the Enclave the biggest score of all? You're everything I want to be.
That's very kind. Maybe in time I'll make peace with what my career has been. But for now, it's too raw.
Is there anything I can do?
Unless you can give me a few years back. This is grief I'll need to sit with for a while.
I understand. I wish there was something I could do to help Aurea see herself the way I see her. Lane knows a thing or two about recording legacies.
I've been running more tests on the bloom you recovered.
You didn't need it all for Darm's tools?
No, thankfully. We had a number of false starts with the alchemical processes, but we had enough petals even then. It does speak to the issue, though. I tried every control I could think of, and can only conclude that the bloom itself is off.
Could it just have been that one flower?
Perhaps. Either way, it warrants further study, but Arakim's offered to help us collect more, so it won't impact you.
Lane, I was wondering if you could help me with something.
What is it?
Well, it turns out Aurea's search for her father wasn't just about finding her family.
Crusades into one's lineage rarely are. Let me guess. She didn't find the missing piece of herself that she hoped she would, and now she's having an existential crisis.
Yeah, that kind of sums it up.
It happens. So, what has all this really been about?
She knows she needs to retire, and she's struggling with what her legacy has been.
Ah, isn't it strange how the most accomplished people never seem to recognize their own success?
Yeah, I was hoping you could help with that. After all, isn't chronicling a legacy your specialty?
We could certainly commemorate her career with a written account. A lovely idea. I would suggest we personalize it with anecdotes from each of our traveling companions, as they've been in Aurea's band longer than you or I. Would you interview them for me? Legacies may be my specialty, but you might have the leg up when it comes to connecting with others.
Sure, I can do that. Any tips on what to ask them?
Ask whatever you like. Maybe you want a few humorous stories in the mix. Or some readers prefer heartfelt. Why don't I start by interviewing you?
Me?
Of course. We'll need your input. What has Aurea meant to you?
Aurea was legendary to me before we met. To have someone like her give me unparalleled opportunity and responsibility, it means the world to me. She's a true guiding light in my career.
Great. I'll transcribe that and start her biography. Take notes when you speak to the others and come back to me.
You know, a lot of points struggle with transitioning into a Watcher's role full-time. And there's never been a point more passionate than Aurea.
I know. I hope this eases her pain.
I'm sure it will. Now, what can I do to help?
We'll definitely highlight Aurea's accomplishments, but I'm wondering if you've got any lighter stories to share.
Oh, there was this one time I had to borrow a pair of her trousers after an experiment went awry. Well, borrowed without asking first.
So you stole her trousers? And they fit you?
It was wash day, and I was trying to accelerate the drying process with a little magical heat. When all my clothes went up in flames, no one else in the camp would let me touch theirs. So I borrowed a pair from Oria while she was out on an expedition, hoping to find a solution before she returned. Alas, I did not. When she came back, she simply cocked a brow and said they looked better on me than her. I still have those trousers. They're comfortable, so I wear them on wash day for a laugh. And if I have to belt them above my ribs, so be it.
Thanks for sharing, Dom.
Brynn, I love what you're doing for Oria. How can I help?
What do you think Oria's bravest moment has been?
I think she's living through it right now.
How so?
Oria loves danger. Hunting wild creatures, delving into dark ruins, pushing the boundaries of her magical abilities. But in my opinion, moments of true courage come from facing your fears, and Oria's never been afraid of danger. But recognizing that it's time to let go of what she loves and step down, leaving everything she's built in your hands, that takes more courage than she's ever had to muster. I don't think she could do it if it weren't for you.
Wow. Thank you, Sola.
Happy to help.
Your idea to commemorate Oria's career with Lane is lovely. How can I help?
If you were to summarize Oria's influence on your life, what would that be?
Oria saved me from serious burnout with the Udean relief efforts. Not to mention, saving me from myself a second time here in the Enclave. I don't know if I'd still be here without her. Or any of you, for that matter. Anyway, the longer I worked the relief ships, the worse the fatigue hit me. And I think that had become my entire identity. Barely a few minutes into meeting me, Oria asked if I ever thought of becoming a weaver. I thought she was mad. But I guess she had observed me giving orders and organizing shipments on the docks all morning. By the end of our conversation, I had a new purpose and a home in her band.
That's perfect. Thank you for sharing.
My pleasure.
I haven't known Oria for as long as the others, but she's done a lot for me. I'd like to help with your project if I can.
Of course, Sev.
What do you want to know?
What drew you to Oria's Weaver Band?
Truthfully, it was Sola. I wanted to learn as a smith's apprentice, and her craftsmanship is unparalleled. But I suppose something she said about her leader always stuck with me. She said that Oria valued competence and accountability above all else. It didn't matter what your station was or where you came from. In the Norian order, station was all that mattered, along with towing the line. I don't know. I thought it would be freeing to just focus on the work for once.
I suppose getting trapped with us wasn't the freeing experience you hoped for.
In some ways, no. But it's nice to be valued for my work, instead of my ability to cover for a superior's poor behavior.
Thanks, Sev.
Glad to be of service.
My hand is cramped. But the account of Oria's career is finished.
Great. I'll gather everyone if you're ready to present it.
I'll need to ice my quill hand. But, of course.
Let's hope she likes this.
She will.
What's going on?
We wanted to present the latest addition to Lane's archive to you, together. We all contributed, though credit goes to Lane for compiling and writing it.
I've titled it A True and Personal Account of Oria Silverbeak Harpinet.
What is going on?
We wanted to do something special to commemorate your time as Point.
You didn't have to do all this.
We did. You've done more for each of us time and time again.
No one is more deserving of a place in Weaver history than you, Oria.
So we took it upon ourselves to write you one.
As a thank you for everything.
I don't know what to say.
Lane, why don't you read just the opening?
Oria Silverbeak, as she came to be known, was born to Sharian Harpinet and Eugenius Osphine inside the Enclave just before the Surge.
Osphine.
Though she never knew her father, her mother hoped Oria would follow in her footsteps as a skilled enchantress within the Maida. But Oria decided to become a Point, blazing her own trail. Something she would continue to do throughout her career, bigger and bolder each time. We'll let you read the rest on your own.
We hope this account will help you see yourself and your accomplishments the way we see you.
I'm at a loss. All I can say right now is thank you.
Brynn, I was so moved by what you did for Oria. It's clear she means a lot to all of you.
Thank you. She does.
But her father, Eugenius Osphine, I know who he is.
You do?
Yes, and I want you to make an offering for his grave. I can give you a key swatch to reach it.
Wait, you know where it is?
I do. And I'm sure Oria would love to watch you visit on the scry.
Okay, but shouldn't we tell her?
Trust me, this is something you should show her directly. Come back when you've got the offering and I'll give you the key swatch.
One of Oria's feathers would be beautiful as part of the offering for her father's grave.
I'm with you, Brynn. Didn't expect the miasma to be so intense over the scry.
You get used to it. Just have to use a more gentle touch and feel the way it slides.
precisely under what conditions it was harvested, it will be perfect for our study.
What's the verdict with the resonance comparisons, Dom? Are we all doomed?
Not doomed, no. But I have every reason to be concerned. Tangles only form in areas of intense magical concentration. That they're so common here in the Enclave makes it clear that this place is overflowing with magic. Have you ever blown into a bladder until it pops? I worry that's where we're headed.
No. Have you?
Ah. Well, I am from Renland.
The patterns did show signs of change then.
Subtle but present. What was intriguing was watching them relax over time, as if the miasma caused them to contract like a muscle.
So things might recover if we could bring an end to the tangles?
I think so. Your work with Sev has already pointed us to a longer-term fix, using the underground conduits. Until we find a way to stop the bladder inflating, though, that's just a stopgap measure.
We have to tell the Axel, though. She needs to know about this so we can take every precaution.
Oh. We?
Yeah. It's time. Meet you there. Hey, you. How's my favorite point doing?
Really well, like always. Thought I'd see how you were holding up.
Still reeling a little from the attack, but getting my feet back under me. Forces me to be up all day more often than I should. I should talk to Dom about that, actually.
Dom uses some kind of sleep aid. Lane could help you with that.
Oh, are they the secret weapon? I wondered how Dom does it. I can stay up past noon regularly, but I wear down if I do it too much.
To be fair, I think that's just Dom. Fueled by his love of enchantment and solar in equal measure. You should talk to Lane. I'd miss you if you were sleeping all day. I think Dom splits his sleep so he can be up with Solar, and she does something similar. They make it work.
It's not like you have the most regular sleeping schedule yourself.
Are you saying you'd like to stay up to spend time with me too?
Yeah, I am.
Both of you this time. Must be important.
It is. We've identified a long-term risk to our people. a source of decay in our enchanted devices. And I've prepared a list of safety measures we should take.
You have.
Yes, we... Wait. Why did you say that like you already know?
Arakim, do you know how intense the competition to become Axel truly is? Even in our diminished state, it is ruthless. Each guild jockeying for its representative to be elevated. To win the seat, you need allies, knowledge, and the will to use both.
You've been watching us this whole time.
I have been watching you, Brynn. Yes. I have been judging Arakim.
Always a test.
What I have seen is growth. Your enthusiasm and energy has never been in question. But your judgment and initiative have often been rash. But in working with Brynn's band, I've seen you set goals, lead plans, move from asking permission to making your case. Just as you came here to do, did you not? To lay out a set of clear steps we should take to preserve our new scries and keep our people safe?
Yes, that is exactly what I was going to do.
You should act on your recommendations with my complete support. I know you're not making them lightly, and they affect your people the most. So yes, it was a test. And as Khan, it will be the first of many.
You just said Khan.
I did. The scouts have been ignored for far too long, as we try to pretend everything is as it was. Enough. Unless you disagree, Arik.
No, not at all. We've been pushing for this forever.
Good. And you should thank Brynn when we're done. She raised a very salient point in our last chat that swept away the last of my hesitations. Now take a knee, would you? There's work to be done, and neither of us is really built for fancy ceremonies. If we have learned anything in the past while, it's that standing too firmly on ceremony costs us time and opportunities. We, as a people, would have withered and died without the tireless efforts of your scouts and their forebearers. And yet we have not recognized them out of fear of tipping a balance that was already lost. And so I elevate you, Arakim Katabi, to the station of Khan of the Enclave, and grant you the title of Guide. May your initiative and care chart a path for us all. As it turns out, I'm rather glad you tore down Asylum. I was not, at the time, but Arakim's come a long way since he started working with your band.
As have you, politically.
I will admit I was complacent. Part of my decision to create the role of guide was to prevent that. I need someone who will push, and he will most certainly do that. His findings, though, are deeply concerning, along with the obvious failures of the tapestry exposed by Sev's research. But I see it as an opportunity. The tapestry needs to be repaired, and we have the means. Nothing catalyzes and unifies people like a problem they can actually solve.
Making you seem like a very effective leader.
Yes. Yes, it does.
It's nice to have the camp stove working properly again.
Even if it took Casmin quietly tossing our coal supply into the hollow one night to make it happen.
Wait, she did?
Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned that. But Dharm and Solar have reconciled, which I suspect was her whole plan, so hopefully it's okay. Still, Kaz doesn't like for people to know she's a romantic at heart.
Oh, well, I am very glad you mentioned this. Thank you, Lane.
Just go easy on the teasing. I don't want her to serve my stew cold all week. Have you ever felt like you couldn't trust the people around you? Oh, never mind. You did tell me about Aaron and how he undermined your confidence. I suppose it would have been hard to hold trust in someone who didn't respect you.
It wasn't fun, I can tell you that. Is there someone here who's putting you on edge?
It's Sev, and how he was collaborating with the Eye behind our backs.
Oh? I can understand, but you didn't exactly seem blown away by the revelation.
I didn't have time to process it. I have now, and the more I think about it, the more upset I feel. Logically, I understand the situation. I can trace the weave of circumstance that forced his hand and led to his deception. I know he had no choice, and I've even forgiven him. I said the words to his face, so why am I still so angry?
That's a tough one.
It reminded me again of Udea. Will the fear and the manipulation follow me forever? Will it taint everything? The secrets, the lies, the subterfuge. The Maida may seem a balmy paradise, but in reality, it is a toxic swamp. Every fibre of my being is screaming at the prospect of having my life ruined by this again.
All right. It's clear that sitting around base camp chewing on this isn't doing you any good. You need a distraction.
Possibly. What did you have in mind?
The Axel must be overwhelmed right now. Let's find something to help her with.
I'm amenable to this. Shall I let you ask her, or...?
Oh, no. You're coming with me.
I suppose it would be good to catch up with her, and I'll meet you at Cassidy's Hold, then. See you soon.
Brynn and Lane? To what do I owe the pleasure?
We're hoping that there's something you can help us with. Or rather, we're hoping that there's something we can help you with.
I'm not sure I follow.
I've been at a loose end, gnawing on painful thoughts, only growing more despondent in the process.
Huh.
So we're here to focus on problems that are a little more tangible. What can we help you with?
That is very kind of you. I've had a great deal of difficulty keeping on top of things.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
We're here to help. Like I said.
Right. I've got a petition from the scouts here somewhere. Let me find it. Arakim has been nagging me about accessing the Archon's hearth. Its stores of raw material could busy our forge masters for months. Now that I'm technically in charge, I'm loath to follow Kenrick's lead in recklessly sending the scouts into dangerous situations. What I'm lacking to make that call is intelligence on the Archon's hearth. Our documentation is decades out of date.
I've already spent a lot of time in there, actually. It was pretty hot, from what I recall.
Dangerous too, one would assume. Can you elaborate on what you saw in there?
While exploring where the arcs were assembled, I couldn't help but imagine how busy it must have been back before the surge. Archons seem big when I'm fighting them, but the scale feels totally different when they're attached to a scaffold.
Fascinating.
Well, it was only one area that was particularly hot. but all of it was dangerous.
I assume you refer to the arcane foundry then?
Yeah. It was on another level to what you've got here at the hold, or what we have at camp. I can't imagine how many Archon parts they produced per day. The most interesting part was where they grew the coral. I could feel the magic running through it.
It is a reminder that there are still lost secrets to be found.
Exactly. Anyway, there's lots going on in there. Do you think it's safe enough to send in the scouts?
Not quite. I still have grave concerns about the fluctuating heat levels.
I believe I may have a solution for that. A potion that will maintain your body temperature even in the hottest conditions. I don't quite have the equipment to make it yet, but the knowledge is there.
That's wonderful news. That said, I would like a demonstration to be sure they work.
A fair stipulation. Some sort of combat encounter in the Archon's hearth under the hottest possible conditions. Fighting an Archon that relies on fire magic would be ideal to demonstrate the potion's efficacy.
You know I'm always up for a challenge.
I have no doubt in your abilities after what I've witnessed you achieve.
Well then, I'll be back once I've felled a mighty construct.
strand for your mantle.
Oh, Brynn, how did it go?
It worked amazingly. In fact, I was almost too cold.
Oh, I must have prepared it incorrectly. Perhaps too much stirring.
I'm kidding, Lane. It was perfect.
Ah, your elevated wit eludes me once again.
If you two are done messing around, it's excellent to hear that the potions worked. Lane, what sort of quantities can we produce for the scouts?
As much as you need. It's not hard to make.
That's very good news. I wonder why the Eye never explored this as an option.
I would assume the reason sits somewhere between lack of care and gross negligence. Speaking of the Eye, Brynn, the Axel and I had a chance to sit and talk for a while. Would you believe that she isn't his biggest fan either?
There were some subtle context clues that tipped me off.
We were indeed not very cordial with each other at the best of times.
In particular, the way he kept secrets rubbed us both the wrong way. We found ourselves in agreement that any new government here should be built on a foundation of trust and respect.
A foundation that will only be built if we secure our survival. Lane and I don't agree on everything, but it was good to sit and speak with someone who understands the nature of the work I'm doing.
It's not every day that one has the privilege of watching a new order emerge.
Perhaps you will be here to document it.
I should like that very much. The story of a new Enclave should be made available to all. Every detail, out in the light. I'm struck with inspiration. I need to return to base camp and get started on my history. To be here as it's being written. To be the one writing it. Oh, what a privilege.
Oh, they're gone. Do they always do that?
Yes, that's a fairly frequent occurrence.
Well, with my mind at ease, for now, at least, I will thank you and bid you farewell. My list of petitions is smaller by one, for the moment.
We're here to help. Talk later.